Hello, we got a couple people here. I'm just setting up. This is my, not quite my first time doing something similar. First time doing this exact thing, so bear with me a little bit. Happy New Year. I can see your comments, so I have both hands free. We have point of view happening. I'm going to build something, and I can see your comments. So that's all great. Good. I'm glad you hear me. I'm assuming you saw the thumbnail and how ridiculous I look, so maybe I don't have to keep explaining that. But yeah, so okay, so I'm also taking good audio because I'm going to edit this a little bit and then post like a point of view longer video. This is a new thing I'm trying to get some new content in. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm building today. It's not this, although I might talk about this and try to get some opinions from you. Let's see. What I need to build, because they're back ordered, are my pencil glue up presses. Let's see, is this it? Crud, I don't know if this is it. Probably should have had this sorted out beforehand. That might have been the wrong file. Set up block, pencil making, all this pencil making stuff. Not the most organized on my files. Oh yeah, no, this is definitely it. Okay, so I sold out of these, and I sold the last one that I was using, which was maybe a mistake because now I just have the model to go off of. Before I did that, I tried to make a really good model of the tool itself, which is this. So I'm just going to have to go off of that. So that's the mission. But just real quick on this style of video and what I'm trying to do here. You probably saw from the thumbnail that what I have on my head are two cameras, one that you're seeing, one that's recording a stabilized, better video that I'll process later. And then also over here, I'm getting really good, clean audio so that point of view video has better audio. So the thought is to have some conversation about the build and put out some content that's a little bit more personal than the highly processed, 10 minutes to, or even less, to show a comprehensive build, which is pretty much all I've done for the woodworking world. I've been trying to think of, I'll put this over here, trying to think of some ways to get some more casual content that maybe you could have on in the background and pay attention to while you're doing something else, sort of like a podcast. And that's what I'm trying to go for here. So if there's any questions, I'll pause to answer them. If there's anything you're curious about, even if it's off topic, that's okay. We can take some diversions. This is SketchUp, which I became familiar with early on and has caused me to have a little bit of trouble taking to other software programs. I've gained a low level of competency in Fusion 360, but that just kind of is what it is. Okay, so yeah, any other questions before we start making this thing? If not, I'll start getting the wood ready. All right. So this is all going to be made out of Cote. I think if I pick one big piece, I can probably do the whole project with just one board. I'm making 10 of these glue up presses. I probably should just be making like 50 of them, but ooh, that's more than I need. That's okay. Leftovers are okay. I should also probably get hearing protection squared away before we get any further. Oh, I want to test something with you guys before I get into the build. So I use these fans to pull dust out of the shop. So this window open and these fans on. And I want to see how irritating that noise is for you. I tested the good audio that I'm capturing. It's not a problem for that, but that's kind of, I can post-process that. So if I'm over here and those fans on a level of 1, not annoying, 10, extraordinarily annoying, and you can't even understand me, how bad are those fans? Let me know. 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3.5. I'm sure it's worse when I'm close by. Okay, so what I'll try to do is use the fans as sparingly as possible. But you also talk louder. I'm trying. The phone's really close. So I have a particle counter to tell me if the air quality is bad. So I'll only run the fans when it's absolutely needed. Sounds like light static, not very distracting. Okay, good. Good. That's not so bad. We'll tolerate it when we have to. I don't have the best lungs in the world, and I've got some allergies. I really would like to avoid developing any wood allergies. That would be more than inconvenient, given this has become my career. Not necessarily in the shop making things, but that is a necessary part of the whole deal. Okay, so let's get going. Just checking audio, testing. Where are we at? All right, so I'm going to plane this down to a little less than an inch. Like I said, I can see, well, obviously I can see what you're commenting. So, any questions? Let me know. I am curious, like, how are you watching this? I would assume that this isn't engaging enough to be like the full-time thing you're doing. There's 42 people. Like, did you minimize the window and like have it open while you're doing something else, or the equivalent with a phone and set it to the side while you're working on something else? That's how I would probably want to take in something like this, and I have done that. Just curious. Great background while working on programming. Second screen, yes, that's what I was assuming people would do. So that's good. So pencil glue up press, I sell a tool, which I don't actually have any of them. Well, I'll show you the pencils. So I sell a tool that lets you make your own pencils. Here, I've got a whole bunch. Here's some colored pencils I made. These ones have 5 sides. Here are some holly pencils, which are really cool. If you want to make pencils, this clear, almost no grain holly makes an awesome pencil. To do it, you start with 2 halves, route the half circle, and then glue them together. That gluing together is a little finicky, so I sell an optional accessory. That's a pencil blank glue-up press that looks like this. That makes that process easier. I'm seeing some more comments. iPad while folding laundry, same, working lunch, second screen. Yeah, consensus. That's how I thought people would consume this content, which is good. I don't have anything like that. That's conversational. shows a little bit more personality. It's more casual. You can have it on the background. I think that it'll be good for, I think it's useful for the audience and something that's been missing. The slight constant wobble hints that this could be very tough for your neck in the long run. Are we worried about the long run? I'll deal with that with the chiropractor later. Big talk for now. Might come back to bite me. We will see. We will see. So right now it's a baseball cap. I did buy a hard hat, which I think would be a much better way to stabilize everything and not as hard on my neck. I think that'll be better, but it's not too uncomfortable. What was I saying? Anyway, so this is the glue-up press. That's what's happening there. All right. Okay, so one thing that I forgot to mention and forgot to do, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be taking video for a standard YouTube video, so you can get a sense of what that process is like filming while building, and also live streaming and filming a second video, but you know, that's kind of silly territory. Okay. Pretty quiet planer. Yeah, it is a spiral. What kind of wood is that? It's Bacote. Isn't it pretty? Such cool stuff. So Bacote is the wood that I chose for the rails of the pencil making tool. And I picked it because it's waxy and dense and relatively stable. It was almost, Cocobolo would have been just a little bit better, but it went on the whatchamacallit list, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get it for the long term, so I went with Bacote, and honestly I don't have any regrets. It's less expensive. Okay, so now the tricks of a no joiner shop. Let's see, how do I want to do this? This is almost good enough where I could just start with the hand planer, but I'll take the opportunity to go through my process. Why don't you have a joiner, Andy? Well, I had one in Minnesota. How's my chalk line? Can't see it because I have this. All my chalk line stuff is here. There it is. I had a joiner in Minnesota. I didn't really like it. It had some problems. I wanted to upgrade it. So I didn't want to move something to Denver that I was planning on getting rid of. So I just sold it. And then I got used to kind of not having a joiner. And I don't want to waste that much wood. This is fairly pricey stuff. Okay. So, chalk line established. I don't know if that description really made sense. Hopefully it did. Wanted to upgrade, sold, never bought another one because I got used to not having one. Okay. Why do you make your own pencils? Well, I was more intrigued by the challenge of how to make a pencil making tool. That was really a challenge and what was interesting for me, and that was incredibly hard. It took me a long time. So it's more of a, like, if you're a person who's interested in making really nice pens on the lathe, it stood to reason to me that it would be something that you might be interested in, you know, as kind of a very deep niche. So it was probably, of all the things that I've come up with, it was probably the least in the category of a problem or something that I wanted. It was more something I recognized other people would want and was compelled to try to take on. Oh, how many pencils you can lose in a day in your shop? Yeah, you can lose quite a few. But, I mean, if all you want is pencils, as about 1 billion people have pointed out, they're cheap, so you can just buy them. Okay. Chalk line, not super easy to see on Bacote, but I think it'll work. Peter Brown, what's up? I'm doing some POV building. It's been likened to first-person shooter video games on other live streams. All right. Got the video going. This is awesome, brother. Thanks for joining. Okay, giddy up. Okay, I hope you'll forgive me for studiously not paying attention. Stop video to your comments while I was making that cut. So, if there's anything important, okay, why don't you use a table saw for that cut? Well, because I had two rough ends. What do you put against the fence? If I had a sliding table saw, then I could. The point, I'm trying to get to the point where I can use this edge on the table saw fence, but it's not there yet. Okay. Now we'll go for the big magnet dead man. Hey Drew, nice to see you here as well. Right on. It's hanging over a little bit, but that's a 1,000-pound magnet, so that won't matter. I am going to flip that. So, a freehand cut on the bandsaw makes me a little bit nervous to go right straight to the table saw. It's probably fine. I've done it, but better safe than sorry. I apologize if I'm like hard breathing into the phone. I'm kind of out of shape. I blame COVID. You know what? That's the wrong side. I'm gonna go from right here. There's like no good place to get this shot. My body's gonna be blocking that a little bit, but what can you do? This just goes to show everyone else does as much walking around. Yeah, it's not like the videos. That's another reason why I wanted to do this. Like, I don't think there's any way to condense a project from 20 hours to 10 minutes and not make yourself look more competent than you really are. It's just no matter how much you try to show mistakes and whatever, there's just no way not to give a false impression on how efficiently you go about doing things. So, yes, you will see me fumbling around and looking like just some goofball. That's what I think that's what we all look like. Man, all this space is making me just wish I had more room. Yeah, it is pretty nice. I'm pretty lucky that I was able to get the whole basement. Thanks for the distraction. While the world goes to crap, I could watch your land playing wood forever. We'll be all right. It's not that bad. So I'm not going to take this all the way down. The point is just to get the high spots that might cause trouble. As long as I've got enough touch points on the fence that it's a decent reference surface, I'm going to stop this. And I think that ought to do it. Yeah, that won't be any problem. Why haven't you built a table saw outfeed table, Andy? Well, because clearly this doesn't bother me as enough as it probably should. I still have that camera going. I have this press. It's beautifully made as a pencil maker. Oh, thank you. Be sure to send all those shavings to Peter Brown. Bacote shavings. Ugh. Do you shoot all your videos on your phone? So I do have a nice DSLR. This is my fancy stuff. So I have it, and occasionally, if a shot really calls for shallow depth of field, I'll throw that in. Yeah, all the printers. We'll make that nicer someday. But mostly, I just go with the phone. And edit in what? iMovie? No, I sprung for Final Cut. So I edit in Final Cut Pro. Okay. Rolling. And we're sucking. If you're looking for his house, you just need a compass. It will point the way. Don't bring a HD in Andy's shop. Don't bring a HD in Andy's shop. What's a HD? Wait, is that just a phone hard drive? What, you mean, is this what we're confused about? The battery pack? That's just so I can keep on cruising longer. Sorry, I'm missing the conversation. What am I doing? Joking about all the magnets. Well, I do have quite a few magnets. Okay, so we're going 7/16 by half. I'm going to try to hit this dimension exactly, 7/16. And then half, I'll give myself a little bit extra. So yeah, okay, so that's going to be some waste there. It's all right. It's inevitable. Okay, so those are 7/16. Push stick's still good. Okay, so I'm making 10 of these. Let's see, how many can I get in here? 52. And those are 9 3/4. Okay, so I can get 5. Good. Just 2. Is the bench the same height as the table saw? It is, not by accident. I propped up the table saw to make it match the bench, but it's really nice. Okay. Rolling. Why do you shut off the table saw as you finish a cut? I'm curious if anyone else does that. So I do that because it just slows the blade down. So you wait less time for the blade to be completely spun down. I don't know, anybody else do that? Or is that just a weird thing I've developed? Okay, so now I need to rip these down to a bit more than a 1/2 inch. I'll give myself 5/8. That's plenty to work with. Add to your weird list, I guess, yeah. Plenty of that. I mean, the off switch is really easy to get to from here, so it's, I don't know, just feels natural. Curious how much of your shop is 220. Quite a bit. Let's see. 220. Table saw, planer, dust collector, bandsaw, drum sander. That's it. What was that, 5? I don't think I shut that off. Nope, I did shut it off. Here we go again. I'll keep those. Those might be useful. Okay, so how are we doing on dust? Terrible. Gotta turn the fans on. Alright, so if I know dust is bad, I usually just hang out in front of this window for a little while because this is where I know things are good. So, since we have a little bit of a pause, any questions that I've missed? What are you thinking? I can wait. I had one earlier. Let me get it again. Hey, thanks for joining, Drew, by the way. Fun hanging out. It's about the most social engagement I get these days. If I, excuse me. If I'm done cutting, I do from time to time. If there are other people in my shop, I'll let the machine spin down before walking away from it. Oh, got it. This is back to the table saw thing. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Without a joiner, could you make a long sled to hold the board on the edge and run it through the planer? I've thought about that, edge joining through the planer. I've thought about that. If I was going to make a sled, I'd probably do it for the table saw to try to mimic like a slider, something that like a really long crosscut sled, like a rip sled kind of thing. I'd probably go that route before the planer, just because cranking it all the way down, you'd be moving it really far. I think it'd be a little easier on the table saw. I've thought about doing something like that. I probably will get a joiner at some point. Shop NV2. Oh, thanks. I have, my wife was very kind in giving me the whole basement. Although I have had to defend the territory sometimes, a couple times. Might be better off with a power feed and doing it like a straight line rip. I do have a power feeder, but I don't trust the power feeder to be the thing keeping the board parallel to the blade without a fence. And my dust collection on Alexa, that's fancy. I don't know. I mean, all the equipment that takes the dust collection is so close to here that I don't even bother having this on my person. Okay, so what is next? I think next I should cut these to length. 9 3/4, is that what I said? Yes, that's what I said. So this is the hookup for the miter saw. That 9 3/4 isn't an ultra critical, you know. If it hangs off another 1/16 of an inch even on each side, doesn't matter. Nobody's not going to cause any problems. So I can use my little miter saw gauge, which is accurate enough. Okay. What? No magnets on the dust collection hose? Well, not yet. I don't know. It becomes like I can't put magnets on everything. I can't use them in places where they're silly. I want to use them, but not to a point where it's just obnoxious and doesn't make any sense. Because they are expensive, and there are alternatives to magnets. So I want to use magnets where, you know, for example, like I think featherboards anchored in the miter slot or anywhere else, like that adds quite a bit of fussing around. So although a magnet's more expensive, I think it makes a lot of sense for a featherboard that you really use a lot. So I don't want to be silly about the magnet use. Okay. I always put my drills on the side nice handy. Yeah, they were like poking out at me. It was making me nervous. Lots better. We can shut the fans off for a little while. So you might be curious what happened when from your perspective, I think I banged the camera and then things got blurry. I have a fisheye lens on the camera you're looking through to give you more perspective, and also it makes the shaking and everything a little bit less. I mean, I'm sure it looks pretty shaky, but it would look more shaky without that fisheye lens. And I banged it and it was out of position. That's what happened there. Okay, now this top piece has profiles cut in both the top and the bottom. So it has a bottom profile with a very slight curve so that the pressure is first applied to the pencil blank in the middle and then also on the ends. That's why this is nice, because of that curve. Similar, they make like big clamping accessories for panels the same way with a little bit of a curve in the middle. How do you keep the dust away in the winter? The same way I do in the summer, and it gets cold. And then on the top, it's got this profile to relieve a little bit of material on the sides. So I can't remember why I did this. I think just the length of the bolts could be a little bit lower, and the whole thing can be just a little bit sleeker and just a little bit of a cleaner profile. And somewhere I have a tool to make this easier, and I need to find it, and it is this. So these are those two profiles, the curve for the gluing and the top profile. So this is a bearing router bit operation. So let's see. There's a specific order. I have to do one of these first. I think I have to do, yeah, I have to do this first. It's summer. For some reason, I assume that you are in the U.S. mainland. No, it's not summer. Somebody asked how I do this in the winter. And I guess it is the winter, so the answer is just like I am doing. But no, it's not summer. It's winter here. Matthias just ended streaming. More viewers incoming. Well, maybe. So this is going to be a fairly long operation because I'm going to do, the nice thing is you can do 2 passes in one setup once I get going. So I'll do this side, then flip it around and do this side, then do a new setup. And I move through them faster that way, but this is still going to take a while. So you are going to be in a talk amongst yourselves kind of situation for a while, which I'm assuming won't be a problem. Let's see. What should I use? This is probably the best bit. It's a little dirty. It's also, this Big Daddy bit, like I'm starting to see kind of like some, it's probably hard to see, but like some chips. Not chips, but something about this is not making me comfortable. I think I'm going to use this guy. Yeah, I'll use that guy. This was the first project of mine ever to go on YouTube, not even on my channel. John Heiss put my one-handed router bit solution on his channel before I posted any of my own videos. This is like circa 2013 or 14. Half inch. Can I get a hat? There you are. Which wrench? Oh, let me see. That wrench idea is brilliant. Thank you. It's always frustrating. This always felt like a three-handed operation. 2 wrenches, and then I had to position the bit. And I never want it like all the way down because then it's like touching a bearing, or I always wanted it up just a little bit. So All right, that will do. Tighten up. Another thing that I really like that I haven't really talked about very much, I love having the dust collection not pull the dust through the router motor. So the whole enclosure ends right here. So usually people build a big box around the router so that the whole router is dusty, in a dust-filled enclosure. But I have to imagine this is better for the router doing it this way. All right, so the idea, and I'm only going to do one the first time, one pass. The idea is cut and then cut once I get going for the two sides of the profile. All right. It's not liking me. So I'm making 9 pencil presses. I don't know why this isn't liking me. I did this before. I know I was going against the grain, but I've done that before too. Huh. I wonder if I was just always using the Big Daddy bit, and that is what's the problem. I mean, safety wasn't really a concern. I had my hands, back over here. It's the workpiece that obviously just got toasted. Huh. So I think what I'm going to do is just mark them all out and cut off the majority of the material on the bandsaw. Template should be longer than the workpiece. You're probably right. If I was going to do it again, that would let me ease into it. But I think this will work too. if I do this for all of them and I'm not taking off nearly as much material, like that's quite a bit of material to be trying to remove with a bit. And I think what was happening before is that the Big Daddy bit was just a lot more forgiving than the one I was trying to use. Stuff always goes wrong. That's why live events are interesting. Can't hide it. Okay, what do you think? After I remove this stuff, am I going to have more luck or still problems? I'm not entirely sure myself, to be real honest. We shall see. Sometimes if that hose touches the tripod, it screws up the shot. It's the dust collection hose. Hate to watch you lose a finger. I'm not going to lose a finger. No fingers were at risk. So before I cut these all, I'm just curious to see if this is going to maybe add some cork rubber or the hold downs. Yeah, I should do that. It's not like I sell the stuff or anything. Or maybe I did do this before, and I'm just forgetting. It's been a while since I made these. Gotta go. Thanks for joining. Good luck with the rest. Thanks. I'm sure it'll get there. So this should definitely be a lot more forgiving. Yeah. Okay, let's give it a whirl. All right, so that's going to work. I think I'm going to end the live stream just because wearing this thing on my head is getting to be a little bit much, and it's going to be kind of boring, just watching me do the same thing over and over. And I'll fire it back up once I'm done. So any questions before I sign off here? Thanks for the stream. Hey, thanks for joining. So, all right. Well, if you want to catch the rest, then yeah. Show back up in about half hour or so. See, now I need to figure out how to shut this down. Oh, there it is. Okay, take care.